So I'm gonna rant really quick, just because I'm kind of just in a mood about my appreciation for these cards. I pulled them just now. I only have like one hand, so I can only do so much with what I have. The design in them and kind of like why I appreciate them, as well as, of course, the cards of the day and the intentions behind these cards that were made. So the first thing that I love is the fact that there's a butterfly on there, and it's in a really pretty light shade of lavender and pink, which makes me understand the concept of transformation, but also the concept of us connecting to our third eye. One of my favorite cards in tarot is the star card. So I feel like all the stars, and especially when it comes to us living this human experience, we have a lot of hopes, experiences, desires, or I'm sorry, experiences that then lead to desires, and a very deep knowing that we are worthy of it, even if we aren't directly experiencing it. So all these stars and the butterfly helps me know that it's kind of like the energy of being connected to something cosmic while also transforming to then get to that point. So the first card that I flipped over is the King of Wands, and this is like one of my favorite cards. So I say this about a lot of cards in tarot, but the King of Wands has a lot to do with stepping into your power, not being ashamed of who you are, stepping into your authenticity. The King of Wands is a natural born leader and somebody who is empowered by being themselves. It's like the energy of masculinity, but the downside, if you are not embodying this in a very healthy way, is it can cause arrogance. It can cause somebody who is a little bit in their ego and not really operating from a healthy space. So the importance of this card is learning how to be confident, learning how to be yourself, learning that you are the shit and that you can actually take charge and lead of something without necessarily being egoic. Understanding that there is still room for growth, understanding that you are a leader, but you are still, subject to the people that you are leading. And it is, from what I would like to believe, a co creation of these energies. A leader and a king, or whatever you'd like to call it, is absolutely nothing without their followers and without their people. And anytime that any king has forgotten that, I think we've seen in real time, or seen in, I wouldn't say in real time, but seen in countless times within history, how they've been overthrown, how there has been tyranny, how there has been a lot of plots to then take over what people have seemed to deem an unfit and an egoic king, or an egoic ruler, I should say. So the point I'm trying to make is there is a way to hold power. There's a way to be authentic. There's a way to be confident and empowered in yourself without being egoic. It's important to understand that people outside of you have a perspective that is valuable and that you can learn from just as much as you have a perspective. Even if you have a lot of responsibility behind what you are doing, it's important to know that with that responsibility comes the potential for growth and the ability to do what you are doing infinitely better. And then we have the Nine of Swords. So I feel like this is an insane combo because the Nine of Swords is all about anxiety and self doubt and having mental anguish and frustrations and the wars that our mind kind of go through when we're trying to experience something. So the Nine of Swords usually points towards us having demons, us having these deep seated fears, and us going through sometimes anguish and straight up, suffering as a result of our anxieties and our fears and the things that we're experiencing. So what I really like about this card is it's like you can kind of like really see it's like you have her there laughing, you have this guy there snaring. It's like you have these people smiling, and then you have this being right here who's kind of like in the spotlight of all the weight of like what they are perceiving to be, these opinions and these perspectives that are being cast on them. So I feel like the insanely important part of this is, so when it comes to manifestation, when it comes to how we generate reality, it's kind of complicated. We get what we expect, but we also tend to experience is sometimes aspects of our insecurities. And not all of our insecurities manifest. Many times these are just aspects of our mind that don't actually come into the material realm. But sometimes because of our anxieties, we then tend to then create these experiences that are really adverse. And sometimes, it's literally just in our mind, and then because of the fact that it's in our mind, we're creating the suffering unintentionally. So the lesson behind the Nine of Swords is a couple things. It is a call to learn to master your fears, your anxieties, your frustrations. And sometimes, some people are just like an asshole. Like some people, like you see that bitch snaring, like some people are just going to appear how the fuck they appear. Some people do have free will, but there are times where we are able to take control of our minds and shift that to the narrative of things turning out for the better, even in the midst of all what we're experiencing. So one of the biggest lessons of the Nine of Swords is learning not to let our fears and learning not to let our past experiences dictate and rule how we then continue to experience the world as we see it. Sometimes a lot of our fears and our anxieties are literally just that, aspects of our mind, and they are nothing more. And the more we feed into them, the bigger they become. But sometimes we have control of shifting that narrative and changing how we approach these situations. And the more that we stand in our power and the more that we understand that, or the more that we start to expect better out of people, and the more that we tend to step in our own power and our own authenticity, the less that these reflections start to show up. But either way, peace and blessings. I've been ranting a little bit. Hopefully this made sense to somebody, and I hope you guys have an amazing night.